And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dan Damagala.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Wonderful video. Thanks so much to the Informatica people for putting that together and recognizing some of the work we're doing at the Colorado Department of Education. My name is Dan Damagala, employee with the state of Colorado, specifically with the Department of Education, where I serve as the Chief Information Officer. I'll talk a little bit about some of our initiatives around education, some of the innovative things we're putting in place. Some of those were highlighted by the video. As the video outlined, Colorado, we have about 860,000 students. These are students in the K-12 space, roughly 2,000 schools, depending on your definition of a school. We have 178 school districts within the state. Those can range in size from about 50 students up to 85,000 students. And we have a elected state board of education based on our board of directors from the 7 congressional districts in Colorado. And a random Colorado fact for you. Within Colorado, we have 53 14ers, what we call 14ers. That's mountain peaks that are over 14,000 feet in elevation. Got to point this at the screen. There we go. This is one of those 14ers. This is a picture of a peak called a couple of peaks called the Maroon Bells. These are outside of Aspen, Colorado. One of the most picturesque places in the state. Also, this is one of the most photographed mountains in the world. It's truly a privilege to live in Colorado, especially when we have scenery like this. One of our pastimes within the state, given that we have 53 of these 14ers, is to go and climb those mountains. So in doing that, here's a profile. If I were to attempt to climb the Maroon Bells, about 5,000 feet elevation gain, over about 6 miles, a little bit farther than the trip to the restrooms in the convention center here. If we were to say I was a guide and I wanted to get a group of people up this mountain, say 30 people, but say I had just a limited amount of time to get people up there. One of the rules of mountain climbing is, especially on a high peak, you want to scale the summit before noon and make sure you're off the mountain before the afternoon weather starts to hit. You don't want to be in a 14,000 foot peak when a thunderstorm or a snowstorm hits in the middle of the summer. So if I'm a guide and I'm trying to get 30 people up the mountain, let's say I'm in charge of those people between the hours of 9 and 10 o'clock. Say I have them for 1 hour. Knowing that I need to get them up by noon, there's probably some piece of information I'd want out of that group of 30. I'd want to know where are they at on the mountain right now, maybe how far or how quickly are they ascending the mountain, some of the skills they might have, some of the obstacles that are forthcoming based on maybe what we know about the mountain. So that's kind of an analogy of what our teachers face, especially our K-12 teachers, given a period within a student's life cycle, making sure they have some information at the start of that journey, at the end of that journey, and being able to pass the student on to the next person, maybe the 10 o'clock guide getting up the mountain. So that's sort of an analogy on some of the visualizations that we display around not only student achievement, but student growth. So on this screen, this is a snapshot of an individual student report that shows how a student is doing, in this case in reading, over time. This is over multiple grades, and these are based on state assessment tests. We can not only chart students on their academic achievement, but also their growth. And when we calculate growth, we use something called a student growth percentile. Based on where students in the past how they have performed given a certain point in time, what are the expected outcomes for students from that point? Kind of like on a mountain. If I'm at one point at 9 o'clock, what's the expectation on where I'll be at 10 o'clock in my ascent on the mountain? So growth, student growth, we use the typical red, yellow, green as far as low, typical, and high growth. Just an example on something we do as far as individual student information, combining achievement data and growth data. I can zoom out and multiple subjects here, see how we're doing reading, writing, and math, maybe different ascents up our mountain there. So given student growth percentiles, I can kind of roll that up a little bit, and I can look at say, a class. In this case, I'm looking at a 10th grade class at a school. This is all fictitious data, but you get the idea where on a horizontal scale, I can look at student growth percentiles. On a vertical scale, I can look at academic achievement. And I can kind of get a glimpse of my 10th graders in this case. Where are my high achievers, academic-wise? Where are my students that are growing? And then maybe where are the students that are lower achievers but still demonstrating tremendous growth? And conversely, where are my low achievers that are not growing and are just falling further and further behind? So it's a pretty powerful view of individual students kind of compared together in a classroom. We can go up even one more level from this, and I can look at schools, and I can compare schools in a 2x2 quadrant on this, again using growth along the x-axis and academic achievement on the y-axis. I can compare schools. The different size bubbles there are the different the number of students in each of those schools. I can get a kind of a snapshot picture of schools that demonstrate high achievement but also have high growth. And by calculating growth at a school level, we're taking a median growth percentile of the students that are attending that school. I can also see maybe where a school can be a low achieving school, historically low achieving, but they're demonstrating high growth. And so those are the schools that are in the bottom right quadrant there. That's a good story where traditionally those schools haven't been highlighted in the past because they're low achieving schools, but the fact that they're demonstrating outstanding growth means they're bringing their students up to levels of proficiency. Conversely, on the lower growth side, I could have a high achieving school that is not growing their students. So that's some cause for alarm. And the case where we want to focus the most attention as far as intervention strategies and helping schools are those schools that have low achievement and low growth. So that was on schoolview.org. If you want to get, go ahead and help yourself to the website. Have a browse around. Most of the information is public, except for student level information, of course, is private. What we're also doing within the Department of Education is working closely with our other state agencies as far as connecting information in a longitudinal format from pre-K, which is Human Services within the state of Colorado, in K-12, which is Department of Education, higher education, workforce, labor, also working with our corrections department to chart the path of our students, the longitudinal outcomes. What are some of those programs introduced in pre-K that equate to success at the K-12 level and from K-12 to higher education? Connecting that information through a master data management approach, a hub and spoke approach where we're not combining all this data into one area but using a federated connection point. That's proving to provide some very powerful information around asking those longitudinal questions regarding education. We have a public portal called the Colorado Information Marketplace where some of those data sets that have been produced by combining that information are available for public consumption, public use. It's proven to be a pretty popular website, especially among researchers who love to see that interconnected data. Government is becoming more and more transparent. We're finding the more we make information available to the public, the more innovative uses of that information come about, and that's a good thing for all of us. This kind of shows our overall data strategy from the K-12 Colorado Department of Education level. Really three key actions around information, and that's what we call capture, link, and provide. We want to efficiently and effectively capture information about students, about the classes they're taking, about the programs they're in, say a literacy program or a math program. Also capturing information about the educators that work with those students on a daily basis. With that efficient capture of information, as I mentioned before, linking that information becomes very powerful, linking it pre-K, linking it post-secondary, workforce, and so on. And then providing information. You saw just a quick glimpse of our SchoolView information portal. We go through all the effort of collecting and linking this information. We want to make sure it's usable. And the whole purpose for doing all of these things is to enhance performance, is to drive student achievements, produce outcomes, better outcomes for our students. So to kind of sum it up in a pyramid format or a mountain format, we have some key initiatives around education, and it's personalized learning, Longitudinal outcomes, connecting that information, and individualized instruction that our teachers can use to customize instruction and lesson plans for our student. All those things rely on data, rely heavily on data. So the notion of data integration, data quality, master data management, that's critical for everything we're trying to do around data-driven instruction, data-driven education. Integration, quality, and management of data, of course, that's in Informatica's wheelhouse. So that's why Informatica is a strong partner for us in helping us achieve our goals. So with that, I want to go back to the peak here, back to maroon bells, and kind of use this as a metaphor for scaling our initiatives or working towards reaching our initiatives and using partners to help us do that. I want to leave you with one last image, and that will be from the summit of Maroon Bells. This is what it looks like once you've made the effort to summit some of that remarkable peak. I want to do a few quick shout outs. I wanted to recognize a couple of my colleagues that are out in the audience, Keith Glenn and Walt Strong. Keith is our data warehouse manager. Walt is our lead application developer. So thanks, guys. I'm not sure where you're at, but appreciate all the work. Really, the heavy lifting is done by not only those two, but the rest of our team at the department. Also want to say thank you to a valued partner we've had for several years, and that's InfoLink Consulting. We've been working with InfoLink for, as I mentioned, several years. They've been a great partner helping us advance, helping us realize our goals, achieve a summit like this, and make the best use of the tools that are available. And lastly, thanks to Informatica for recognizing our efforts and being a strong partner, providing a great set of tools to help us achieve our goals. Thank you.